Summary of Thin Ice, a mystery written by Paige Shelton. Chapter 1. In the remote town of Benedict, Alaska, Beth Rivers, the protagonist, undergoes a life-altering journey as she seeks refuge from a traumatic experience. The narrative unfolds in the confines of a small prop plane, providing an intimate glimpse into Beth's internal struggles and the mysterious town she is about to enter. Seated next to Hank, the pilot with a nearly toothless grin, Beth grapples with a sudden surge of terror during a turbulent flight. The fear momentarily erases all other concerns, allowing her to forget the numerous anxieties that had plagued her. The conversation between Beth and Hank is drowned by the roaring engine, forcing them to shout to communicate over the protective headsets. Beth, in a state of heightened anxiety, reflects on her ability to accurately capture the essence of terror in her writing, a skill that proves useful as she faces the impending danger of the plane's descent. As the plane maneuvers through layers of gray clouds, Beth's stomach churns with each dip and sway. She gasps at the breathtaking sight below, an expansive Alaskan landscape of mountains, ocean, and wilderness that stretches to the edges of her perception. The typewriter, an old Olympia, clutched in her hands becomes a curious focal point for Hank, leading to a conversation about writing and Beth's vague explanations about the typewriter being a family heirloom. The narrative subtly reveals Beth's internal struggle, her desperate desire for safety, and her hope that Benedict, Alaska, will serve as the sanctuary she seeks. The transition from the chaotic flight to the serene beauty of the landscape symbolizes Beth's journey from turmoil to potential peace. The introduction of Francis, Hank's brother who works in air traffic control, adds depth to the narrative, hinting at the interconnectedness of the characters. The mention of Benedict House, a converted Russian Orthodox church and Beth's chosen place of residence, raises curiosity. The revelation that Benedict House is a halfway house specifically for women catches Beth off guard. Frances, seemingly kind-hearted, offers assistance and even a room in their home if she finds Benedict House uncomfortable. This unexpected revelation adds layers to Beth's character, hinting at a past that she may be trying to escape. Beth's arrival in Benedict is marked by rain and a sense of unease. She contemplates finding an alternative place to stay, and Hank and Frances extend a warm invitation for her to stay with them. The narrative subtly explores Beth's internal conflict, her past trauma, and the challenges she anticipates in her new surroundings. The passage acts as a prelude to Beth's exploration of Benedict, hinting at the potential struggles and growth she may experience in this remote Alaskan town. The narrative then delves into the vivid descriptions of Benedict House and its surroundings. The converted Russian Orthodox church exudes an air of history and mystery. The time-worn, two-story building with its Russian architecture, white with blue trim and topped by a golden dome, stands out against the backdrop of the quaint downtown. Via Dr. Gennaro's computer, Beth had glimpsed pictures of the nearby Glacier Bay, the surrounding mountains, and the enticing landscapes that had drawn her to Benedict. The ominous mention of the checkerboard flag signaling the right direction for landing adds a layer of suspense. The makeshift air traffic control tower manned by Francis becomes a point of focus, creating tension as Beth anxiously awaits the landing signal. The narrative masterfully captures the rugged beauty of Benedict, its limited access due to weather conditions, and the isolation that comes with living in such a remote location. As the plane lands smoothly, Beth experiences a mix of relief and apprehension. The mention of Gladys, a moose appearing at the edge of the forest, adds a touch of wildlife intrigue to the story. The unexpected encounter with the moose sets the tone for Beth's introduction to the untamed nature of Alaska. The small town of Benedict, surrounded by dense woods and mountains, offers a stark contrast to Beth's previous life in Denver, Colorado. The narrative takes a turn as Hank and Frances discuss Benedict House, raising questions about its reputation and purpose. Hank's curiosity about Beth's typewriter and her reason for coming to Benedict adds an element of mystery. Beth, caught off guard, weaves a web of lies about the typewriter being a family heirloom and her reason for moving to Benedict. The mention of a C-shaped scar on her head hints at a recent trauma, adding to the intrigue surrounding Beth's past. The narrative then shifts to Beth's internal monologue, revealing her true identity as Elizabeth Fairchild, a successful author with a secret life. The typewriter, bought 12 years ago in a Missouri pawnshop, holds sentimental value as the tool she used to write 6 best-selling novels. The revelation of Beth's hidden life, deadlines, and the pressure to continue writing despite her recent trauma adds depth to her character. Frances's observation of the C-shaped scar on Beth's head, a remnant of her recent brain surgery, brings an emotional layer to the narrative. Beth's vulnerability and self-consciousness about the scar highlight her struggle to cope with the aftermath of a traumatic event. The narrative delicately navigates the complexities of Beth's emotions as she attempts to start anew in Benedict, leaving behind the shadows of her past. The mention of Viola, the contact for Benedict House, raises concerns about the reliability of the accommodation Beth has chosen. Frances's offer of an alternative place to stay and his contact information adds a compassionate touch, hinting at the kindness that can be found in unexpected places. The narrative seamlessly weaves together elements of mystery, suspense, and human connection, inviting readers to empathize with Beth's journey of healing and self-discovery. The passage concludes with Beth expressing gratitude for Frances's kindness, while subtly hinting at her determination to carve a new path for herself in Benedict. The narrative sets the stage for Beth's exploration of the town, her encounters with its residents, and the challenges she will face as she confronts both the natural beauty and the hidden complexities of life in Benedict, Alaska. Chapter 2. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the rugged terrain as the protagonist, nameless and seeking refuge, arrived in the small town of Benedict. The air felt heavy with an unspoken tension as Donner Montgomery, a local with perturbed green eyes and a bushy beard, took charge of the situation. The protagonist's first impression was of a man in a less-than-ideal mood, his features concealed by a Chevy cap and a long, dark beard. Frances, the mediator of this unusual encounter, introduced the protagonist to Donner, who promptly grabbed the typewriter, an heirloom the protagonist carried, as if he intended to casually toss it behind the passenger seat of his Ford truck. A fragile warning escaped the protagonist's lips just in time to prevent the typewriter's careless flight. Seated in the truck, the tension lingered as Donner, now behind the wheel, asked about the protagonist's origin. "Denver," she replied, her gaze lingering on his profile. Despite the beard and the apparent attitude, there was something appealing about Donner's silhouette. She forced her eyes away, wondering why she had even noticed in the first place. Donner, breaking the silence, inquired about the reason for the protagonist's journey to Benedict House. She clarified that it was not due to any criminal status, but rather a decision to rent a room at Benedict House. The mention of Benedict House triggered a shift in Donner's demeanor. The irritation evaporated, replaced by a more amiable exchange. The protagonist realized that perhaps the assumption of criminality could have served her well in this close-knit community. As Donner navigated the truck through the town, he revealed himself to be more than just a disgruntled local. He was tasked by Grill, the police chief, to pick up the protagonist. This revelation raised red flags for her, prompting questions about why law enforcement would be interested in her arrival. Donner, eyebrows furrowed, carefully placed the typewriter behind the seat before reaching for the strap of the protagonist's backpack. She asserted her independence, insisting on managing her belongings herself. The truck's interior, reminiscent of her grandfather's trucks from her childhood, triggered nostalgic memories of a different life. The conversation veered toward the town's dynamics, its population of around 500, the sparse downtown with a fish processing place, Pips, and a school, and the nearby buildings, marked by stains and the scent of oil. Donner, a national park ranger, doubled as a law enforcement officer, and the mention of Chief Grill raised questions about Benedict's unique law enforcement dynamics. Donner continued his informative narration as they drove further, passing buildings and trees. The protagonist learned about the town's limited amenities, the challenge of obtaining groceries, and a local named Suzanne Tosh, who ferried supplies from Juneau. The truck rumbled along the roads, and the protagonist couldn't shake the feeling that she was being transported into a world unlike any she had known. Amidst the conversation, Donner posed a question about Benedict's famed freeze-over day on August 15th, a date that marked the onset of tougher travel conditions. The protagonist assured him she would keep it in mind, grateful for the local insights. The conversation then took an unexpected turn as Donner delved into the town's collective effort to hide or search hinting at a shared experience of seeking refuge or escaping something. As they approached a slightly more populated area, the protagonist's curiosity piqued, asking about the scattered horses, caramel, coffee, and cream owned by the Stimsons. Donner provided casual explanations, bridging the gap between the town's human and animal residents. The site of Benedict House, standing out with its unique architecture and history of surviving a fire, drew the protagonist's attention. The other buildings, remnants of the past, hinted at a town in the process of rebuilding. Despite its worn appearance, Benedict House emanated a magnetic pull, and the protagonist decided to rest in her room until Chief Grill's expected visit. The chapter unfolded with a blend of information, mystery, and the protagonist's evolving connection to Benedict. The arrival in this small town became a journey into the unknown, filled with hints of secrets, a recent death, and a unique community waiting to reveal its stories. As the truck halted outside Benedict House, the protagonist felt a mix of apprehension and anticipation, ready to unravel the enigma that had brought her to this peculiar corner of the world.